The Pixel 6 is in the house, and I'm excited. I mean, just look at it, it looks sick. Most of the leaks were true, from the design to the cameras, all the way down to the pricing, and I must say a round of applause to Google because there's a lot to love about this phone. Now, I've only been using it for 2 weeks, so I can't give a detailed review on the expected battery life, or if any issues may come about from long-term use, but I can tell you about my experience so far. Now, there are 2 Pixel models to choose from. You got the regular Pixel 6, which has a 6.4-inch flat display running at 90 Hz, and then the larger Pixel 6 Pro at 6.7 inches with a higher refresh rate of 120 Hz and a waterfall display, which is the one that I have. If you want the smaller model, it's going to cost you $600. In contrast, the bigger model is $900. It's a $300 difference, but with those extra Benjamin Franklins, the 6 Pro provides a bigger battery capacity, an extra telephoto lens, more RAM capacity, a slightly better front camera, and an extra 512GB variant. Everything else after that is pretty much the same. Now, the Pixels have always been known for their cameras, software, and fast software updates. That's just a known fact. But I've always found them to fall a bit short on a few things: the design, battery life, charging speed, and update commitment. The Pixel 5 did try to break this trend, and it kind of did by not providing a terrible battery life and bringing a decently looking design, but the Pixel 6 did a much better job at providing something exciting. By far, my favorite new feature about the Pixel 6 is the design. I mean, it brings back memories of the Nexus 6P with that horizontal strip at the top, and they're emphasizing the cameras without using that ugly squared camera module like everyone else. The phone also feels great to hold. The polished aluminum frame and glass back make it feel extravagant. The buttons have great placement and align perfectly with my thumbs, so I don't have to do any hand gymnastics when locking the phone or turning up the volume. The vibration motor is honestly the best I've ever experienced. Feeling those vibrations when I tap or bring down the notification tray does feel like something out of heaven. The phone is also still IP68 water resistant, and with every Pixel, Google really knows how to make their keys sound nice and clicky. It's all about the details. The fingerprint sensor also got moved to the front, underneath the glass, but it's not that great. It's pretty common for the phone to not recognize my fingerprints, making the unlocking process really slow. And before you head down to the comments, trust me, I've already tried to re-register my fingerprints and nothing's helped. Plus, since the phone doesn't come with face unlock, this is the only biometric unlocking option, so I'm stuck with it. Well, on a more positive note, I do think some of the colors that Google chose are beautiful, like the yellow variant for the Pixel 6 Pro called Sorta Sunny, and the red variant for the Pixel 6 called Kinda Coral. Unfortunately, I wasn't lucky enough to sweep up any of those. Instead, I got the Stormy Black, which isn't as exciting to look at, but I do like the two-tone theme. Either way, Google has finally caught up in terms of design, and I've given it an A+. In terms of performance, the phone is fast, a lot faster than the Pixel 5, and thanks to that 120 Hz display, it also feels really smooth. A lot of it has to do with Google using their own processor. Yep, just like Apple, Google designed their very first chipset and didn't just hop on the Qualcomm train. They call it Google Tensor, and there are plenty of reasons why they made their own chip. First off, this provided us with 5 years of security updates instead of just the usual 3. Surprisingly, it's even the first Android phone to ever provide this, but unfortunately, Google still only guarantees 3 years of software updates. OS updates, I mean. The new Tensor chip also made the image processing for the camera much faster, provides more responsive gaming sessions, a much better app reload time, better speech recognition for when I'm voice typing or talking to Google Assistant, and better security. Everything just got a bit better, and the chipset doesn't even use that much power to accomplish these faster speeds. As of now, it's still not as fast as Qualcomm Snapdragon 888, which is inside a lot of high-end flagships like the Galaxy S21 Ultra or OnePlus 9 Pro, but honestly, ignore those Geekbench scores because I didn't even notice a massive difference in performance when I didn't have it next to a Galaxy. In the real world, higher priced phones like the S21 Ultra or OnePlus 9 Pro will only open apps a tiny bit faster, or process that picture a tiny bit quicker, or play that game a tiny bit better. But trust me, for the average Joe, the speed is going to be more than enough if you use the Pixel 6 Pro. You'll also be fine with the display. More than fine actually, this 6.7-inch screen is a beast. However, it can be a bit too big for some people, so that's why you would go with the smaller Pixel 6 option. But for those big phone lovers out there, you're going to fall in love with this display on the Pixel 6 Pro, especially when you game or watch YouTube. Just to give you a heads up, it's LTPO AMOLED, Quad HD, 120Hz, has a single hole punch for the camera, gets extremely bright or dim, and it's using the toughest Gorilla Glass yet, Gorilla Glass Victus, making it extremely scratch resistant. More scratch resistant than most of its competitors, but even though it's tough, glass is still glass, so I'd still rock a case. I've been using the Google one, and it's a good option. The Pixel 6 is also the first phone to come with Android 12 out of the box, and if you've been following the channel, you'd know that I really love this new update. It's taken Android from a boring, outdated state to something a lot more exciting and fun to use, while also letting you bring in your personality. I don't want to get too much into the details because Android 12 is a whole video on its own, and I have made that video before, but the new design language that Google chose to use, called Material U, was a great move. I love the wallpaper-based themes, which has your system elements, and even some Google apps follow the color palette of your home screen's background. There are also many security improvements, especially with the new Tensor chip, plenty of new widgets, Pixel Launcher improvements, a new gaming mode, and a lot more. But these are things we've seen before. What you're probably wondering are about the exclusive software features that only come with the Pixel 6, and there are quite a few. Many of them are found within the camera, but there are also other exclusives, like you can now have Google Assistant type for you instead of using the regular voice typer. This provides better speech recognition even if you have a thick accent or you're in a loud area with tons of background noise. Somehow the Pixel 6 is still able to know what you're saying. It's crazy. It's also improved the syntax and punctuation, so I don't have to specify where to put commas or question marks. And I love that I can now add emojis, clear anything that is typed out, and send a message all with my voice. Moreover, the Pixel 6 has improved phone calls once again. So just like before, you still get screen called to have Google Assistant deal with unknown callers, and Hold For Me, which also has Google Assistant hold any customer support calls. But now Google has taken it a step further with wait times and direct my call. So we all know how annoying it can be to call up customer support for a company. You never know if it's going to be a busy time to call, and when you do call, you have to listen to a robot to let you know the long list of options for you to choose from. If you forget an option, well, you need to listen to the menu all over again. It's a huge pain. The Pixel 6 gets rid of all those issues, and I can't tell you how amazing it's been. Before I even call up a business, I can now see the expected wait times. On top of that, when I'm on the phone listening to the robot, Google will automatically turn those automated menus into options so that I can select them on the screen. It's beautiful. As if that wasn't enough, another Pixel 6 exclusive is Live Translate. Whenever I'm messaging any friends or relatives, no matter if I'm using the Messages app, WhatsApp, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, etc., the Pixel will automatically translate the conversation and even let me respond in their language without ever leaving the app. Saves me the trouble of having to cut and paste within Google Translate, and being that all my family is in Argentina, it's been much easier to text them in Spanish quickly. Finally, there are a few other minor software exclusives thrown in there. There are 2 new weather widgets that you can use, and honestly, I like both, but I just wish that I could remove the at-a-glance widget on the Pixel Launcher, because neither of the widgets are resizable, and having 2 widgets on the same page already makes your home screen look a bit cramped. You also get some new wallpapers and 2 new live wallpapers. The live wallpapers are even customizable, so you can choose different types of flowers with an adjustable blur, and it even uses your phone's gyroscope to move alongside any movements you make. Finally, within the settings, the security menu now has a new diagram to let you know how secure your phone is and how you can improve it. Overall, Google once again nailed the software, but there's definitely room for improvement, and most of it has to do with bugs. Being that the phone just got released, I experienced plenty of them. For example, whenever I type certain letters within the app drawer, the entire thing crashes. So if you get this phone early on, just know that you can run into some issues. Cameras, cameras, cameras. Pixels have always been about the cameras, and this year Google finally upgraded the camera hardware. For a bit of context, its predecessor, the Pixel 5, used the same dated lens from the Pixel 3, a phone that was released back in 2018. Yikes. Now we get larger sensors to bring in more lights, a higher megapixel count for better detail, some fun new camera features, a wider ultra-wide lens, and an extra telephoto lens with 4x optical zoom if you get the Pro model. All of my shots came from the Pixel 6 Pro, but if you get the cheaper Pixel 6, you'll still have the same results since the primary and ultra-wide lens have been copied over. As expected, these new sensors brought fantastic results. No matter the lighting situation, I had no problem capturing anything that was in front of me. Comparing it side by side with the Pixel 5, the shots on the Pixel 6 looked a lot more detailed even when using digital zoom, the colors and exposure were a lot more accurate, and night shots still kept making my jaw drop. Even when using the new telephoto, dark areas get lit up immensely, and it's all thanks to the larger sensor. My only complaint is that night shots still don't look that natural. The iPhone 13, for example, does a much better job at making a nighttime shot look like it's actually dark out, not just brightening it up. It's also really easy to get a blurry photo when it's dark, so just be prepared to take multiple shots if you have shaky hands. Still, night sight is a very powerful feature, and I was again very impressed with the quality. I also like that the Pixel 6 can now digitally zoom a lot further, 20x instead of just 7, and Super Res Zoom, the feature that improves the quality of those zoomed in shots, has gotten even better. It may not be Galaxy level, but it still comes in handy. Videos taken on the Pixel also came out looking amazing. Stabilization is perfect, colors look good, it's still able to record in 4K at up to 60 frames per second, and as you can tell from watching this Pixel video, it's not bad. The quality is even better than its predecessor since Google took advantage of the Tensor chip to bring HDRnet, an amazing new feature that basically processes every new frame just like when you take a regular photo. Before, this wasn't possible because the Snapdragon chips weren't powerful enough to handle the processing of 60 frames every second. Now, the new Tensor chip can do the job. Google didn't mention this at the event, but the Pixel 6 Pro can actually isolate your voice when there's a lot of background noise, and it does this by reading your lips. It's pretty cool. What else is cool is that Google also introduced a ton of new camera features within the software, and I gotta say, I had a hell of a time trying them all out. First off, real tone. The Pixel 6 does a much better job at capturing darker skin tones. Obviously, I couldn't try this out on myself, but I tried it out with my roommates to see if there were any improvements, and impressively enough, there are a ton. The skin looks a lot more richer, natural, and well exposed. Another neat feature is Magic Eraser. It lets you easily remove unwanted items or people from your shots, even from pictures that you took a long time ago. And it's as simple as tapping Erase All to remove random people. From there, I can draw over other unwanted items that weren't noticed by the AI. To be honest, it's a hit or miss situation though. Sometimes the removals are clean and unnoticeable, but other times it's pretty obvious that something used to be there. It's nothing fancier than a third-party photo editing app that has the same feature. What is pretty fancy is that the Pixel 6 can unblur faces, and for the most part, it works really well. It's pretty fascinating how they got it to work too. They're essentially detecting when there's a lot of movement happening in the viewfinder before you even take the picture. And then once you do take the picture, both your primary and ultra-wide lens snap a shot. Those two shots get fused together to provide an unblurred face. Hopefully. It's fancy, but personally, even if the face is unblurred and the body isn't, the picture will still look trash to me, and at that moment, I'm just gonna want to retake the shot. So how useful this will be really depends on how you like your pictures to look. What is pretty useful is a new mode called Motion for capturing fast-moving objects and turning them into even better shots. This new mode provides two options, Action Pan and Long Exposure. They're mainly used to capture a moving person or object and then add a creative blur to make the pictures look cool. Action Pan blurs the background in a way that shows there's some type of motion going on. It comes in handy if you're trying to capture your kid on a swing set or a sports game. Long Exposure does the complete opposite. Instead of blurring the background, it blurs any moving object. This makes ongoing traffic or waterfalls look like something out of a movie. It's features that photographers have been using for years, but Google just made it easier so that anyone without a tripod can get these awesome camera effects. Overall, the Pixel 6 has some big shoes to fill in for those cameras, and it did not disappoint. They talked a big game by emphasizing the camera module on the back, and they followed through. Google, if you're watching, a job well done. For the battery, the Pixel 6 Pro gave me good results. It had no problem lasting me the entire day, and I could easily end with around 20 to 30%. Plus, keep in mind that I'm a heavy user. I'm constantly going on social media, responding to emails, messaging, playing a few games, having the screen brightness set to near max, and leaving Bluetooth on throughout the entire day just for my smartwatch. With all that usage, my screen on time is usually around 5 to 6 hours. In today's standards, these are average results. If you're looking for an extremely battery efficient device, I'd go with the Pixel 5a. It can last a few more hours, and it's mainly because the specs aren't as jam-packed. Charging wise, the speeds are better than before. In the US, it now charges at a rate of 30 watts instead of just 18. A decent improvement, but it's still nothing compared to what most of its competitors can do. I recently saw an article that Realme is bringing 125 watts into existence. Like what? Google, please step up your charging speed. please. Lastly, it also does suck that they're not including the charger adapter in the box anymore. They're only going to include the cable. They're following Apple's footsteps. Finally, the 6 and the 6 Pro also come with even faster wireless charging and the same reverse wireless charging which is nice. In the end, I love my experience with the Pixel 6 Pro. This is by far the best device that Google has released in a while that actually resembles what most people would consider a Pixel. It's even giving me vibes of the Nexus days, and I feel the love in the air. If you're in the market for a smartphone, definitely go for this one. It has almost everything you'd want in a smartphone besides a flipping or folding display. The only things that need improvement or things I would change are the fingerprint sensor's performance, faster charging speed, expandable storage, even though that'll never happen, the ability to remove the at-a-glance widget on the home screen, yes, I'm serious, and 5 years of OS updates, not just security. Other than that, everything else is spot on. Anyways, that's my full review of the Pixel 6 Pro. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, a quick thumbs up would really warm my heart because this video did take a while to make, and getting subscribed with the notification bell turned on will bring a tear to my eye. Either way, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Kapow!